Good morning. This is part one of a five-part devotion on being happy. Now, there is so much out there right now that could make a person depressed. I've talked to people just this past week who have shared with me the struggles they've had with depression, with anxiety, various things that have made them feel just really bad. And it's saddening to hear that because we are, as believers, a group of people that, above all things, we should count ourselves as happy. The Apostle Paul said, I think myself happy, as he was talking to a civil magistrate that had the power of life and death over him. And he was rejoicing that he was having the opportunity to even give him the gospel. He thought himself happy, and I think that's important. Uh, we need to keep it up here. A lot of it is that we are indeed a blessed people. Now, obviously, these devotions, these 5-minute devotions each day, are for born-again believers. If you're not a Christian, these are going to be very hard to implement. You're going to be just trying to use your willpower and try to push through, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But this is a work of the Spirit, to be sure. Now, this past week, or I say the past week, the past several weeks, we have been going over 1 Timothy chapter 6. And we've gotten to this point now to where the Apostle Paul, in trying to encourage people not to think that having a lot of money is what brings happiness, or that having a lot of money makes you godly. And he makes the statement in 1 Timothy 6:6, but godliness with contentment is great gain. And then he reminds everybody, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain that we can carry nothing out. I think that is a very good reminder. God has given us exactly what we need in this life, and we can labor to achieve more. We can plant seeds in the earth and have them come up and provide us food. We can go to our jobs and receive an income and a wage from these things. We can be faithful to do these things to make ourselves, as one might term, happy. But it is sad when we mistaken true biblical happiness with how much money we can make. And if you're on that path, you're going to discover very quickly that no matter how much money you make, you're going to think that you need more to continue to make you happy. The key to happiness and contentment is not a lot of money, but godliness. And true godliness with this contentment is great gain. This is what the Apostle Paul tells us. And then, as we talked about in our sermons, contentment is not that I can just lay around in my bed all day, never get up and go to work and be content to live that way. That's not what we're talking about. But we're talking about contentment that means I'm putting trust in God no matter what the circumstances are. I'll be content. If I can't go out and physically change the circumstance that I'm involved in, then I am going to be content in that circumstance. If there's nothing I can do, if I've prayed, if I've sought God, the Apostle Paul had a thorn in the flesh. He sought 3 times to have that removed, he said, and God told him, my grace is sufficient for thee. Sometimes there are circumstances like that. Most of the time, we can correct the problems that are in our life. If you've got a problem in your marriage and you're like, oh, I'm just ready to give up on this marriage. The truth is, you don't need to be giving up on your marriage. You need to be working diligently, obeying what the scriptures command about it in order to fix your marriage. Don't be content with a poor marriage. Human nature is never going to be satisfied. It never will. When we finally have what we want, we're going to look at something else. And we're going to want to upgrade it. We're going to want to make it a little bit better. I remember when the TVs were coming out and they got high definition TVs, and now they've got 4K TVs and 8K TVs, and who knows what's going to come on the market next year. If you will determine that godliness coupled with contentment is great gain, that is point one of starting off with a happy life. Godliness coupled with that contentment is truly great gain. So live faithfully in that aspect and that mindset.